Hi, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Moores, your host. The state's attorney's office is currently participating in a mental health court task force, which includes judges, persons from the state's attorneys, and citizens among the general public. Phil Andrews, who is chairing this very, very important task force, has all the details. Serving Together, a program of the Mental Health Association that's designed for members of our services, our armed services, veterans, as well as their families, has peer navigators to help guide individuals when they need services. Julie Riggs is a peer navigator. She's here to tell us what she does. The universities at Shady Grove have lots of programs, each of which leads to an undergraduate degree. Susan Callahan, who teaches in the Hospitality and Tourism Management Department and is a member of the faculty of University of Maryland Eastern Shore, is here to tell us how it works in Shady Grove, exactly what she does. The Board of Education has turned its attention once again to a search for yet another new superintendent. Fred Evans, who comments regularly for this program, is here, and he's even going to venture an opinion about what will happen in this search. Welcome, Phil.
Good to be here again, Don. Thank you.
This task force, tell us about this mental health court and what's going on and what we're trying to do here in Montgomery County.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of people are seeing many stories in the news these days about issues of people who are in the criminal justice system who have a mental illness and are either mistreated or not getting the services that they need. And an increasing number of people that are in our jails have severe mental illnesses, about 15% of the men and about 30% of the women.
Wow.
And these are increasing. These numbers are increasing as well as the rate. So it's a really severe issue that we need to deal with.
So they're convicted, they've committed some crime, they've been convicted, but what I'm hearing is we don't really have the opportunity to treat them, to get them through the treatment that they need,
right,
because perhaps they shouldn't be in there in the first place.
Right, or we want to get them in a situation where they're not going to come back and recidivate. So for people who have committed a crime because of their mental illness, and these are generally nonviolent crimes, mental health courts have been established around the country in many jurisdictions to divert people who are in this situation into treatment rather than jail. So this mental health court task force is looking at how we should do it here in Montgomery County. And we've got representatives from the judiciary who are on board, from parole and probation, from Health and Human Services, Police Corrections, with the idea that we would divert people who have committed crimes because of their mental illness into this problem-solving court where they would get the intensive supervision and treatment so that they are able to live independently.
Okay. Let me ask this before we open it up for questions. As a lawyer who went through law school many years ago, criminal law, we talked about mental health and diminished capacity. How in the world are individuals with mental health issues in our jails? Why are they not in mental health facilities where they could get this treatment? How are they convicted of something if they don't have the capacity?
Well, if they don't have the capacity, you're right. They shouldn't be in jail if they're not criminally responsible and not competent to defend themselves. They should not be in jail, and the law requires actually that they not be in jail, but there aren't enough beds at the state level, and so the hospitals don't take them. And we have to find a way to
get them back
enforce
out.
That law, get them out, and for those that are competent or that have competency restored, then they can go through this program.
Okay.
So the jails become the mental health facilities without the services provided. What would be an example of a criminal act where this would be prevalent?
Good question.
A lot of offenses that are quality of life offenses like vandalism, public urination, disorderly conduct, shoplifting, sometimes simple assault on a family member often occurs in these situations. And we have a number of individuals who have come through the criminal justice system time and again. But about 60%, there's been a 60% increase in the last 3 years of people who are booked into our detention center and jail and have a severe mental illness. So we are seeing this as an increasing problem. And the good news is that we have a lot of people coming together now who are committed to addressing it.
Are we alone in this? Are there other jurisdictions?
Oh, there are several other. In fact, we just heard yesterday, the task force just heard yesterday from 3 judges who represent jurisdictions and are the mental health court judges in Baltimore City and Prince George's County, and we're going to hear very soon from the ones in D.C. and Hartford. So yeah, we've got some good models to draw from.
Perfect. You know, we're going to be talking about veterans' health. Do we have? Is there a lot of? Do we see veterans in this grouping as well?
Yeah, there are a lot of veterans who have illnesses that are related to a mental illness condition or maybe PTSD, and a lot of mental health courts include PTSD as one of the criteria.
Are you hopeful? I mean, it seems like you're very enthusiastic. Do you see Montgomery County instituting?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll have a mental health court up and running within a year, maybe less.
And then what needs to happen beyond the mental health court? What does Montgomery County? What's the Montgomery County 5 years from now that will be adequately addressing this problem?
Well, there's still a shortage of services, particularly housing.
We've got about 1 minute left in
right.
the segment.
So services in the community are still short of what they need to be. Housing is one of the biggest issues, appropriate housing for people depending on the level of the severity of the mental illness. And the transition services when someone leaves incarceration. Our jail does a great job. They do their very best to help with the transition. They give them 30 days of medication and require an appointment, but that's not the kind of handoff that is often enough to have a good chance of having that person stay on their medication. And once the person goes off, they often come back to our facility. So the public interest here is seeing reduced crime and also better treatment for people who have a mental disorder.
I would imagine that Art Wallenstein, Corrections Department Chair, is one of your biggest cheerleaders in this.
He has been one of the biggest over the years, and now Rob Green, his successor, who's been working on this issue for years too, is a tremendous advocate.
Perfect. Phil, thank you. I look forward to hearing more great things about this and all the other great things you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Julie, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Serving together.
Yes.
You know, as we're looking ahead, we're filming this now, taping this in late October. When I think of serving together, I'm thinking of Thanksgiving. I'm thinking of all of us together serving. We've got National Service Day coming up as well. But your serving together is very specific.
Yes.
Mental Health Association with veterans and their families. Tell us about what you're doing.
Great. Well, Serving Together is a project with the Mental Health Association, and the focus is to connect the veterans and their families, and as well as active duty service members, to the resources here in Montgomery County. Back in 2008, there was a study done that said there were a lot of resources here. We all know Montgomery County does have a great wealth of resources, but the veterans were having trouble navigating them. And so my role in the project is to be the peer navigator. So I actually work one-on-one. I am the direct contact with the veteran that calls up and asks for assistance.
Okay.
And we work to coordinate and collaborate with resources in the county so that we're aware of all of the different resources available.
It's almost impossible for somebody from the outside, because of privacy concerns. Now they talk about the stovepiping. And if you don't have somebody like you, how daunting is that for someone who is in real need?
Absolutely. And then you have to put on top of that, perhaps they're transitioning out of the military, perhaps they're dealing with a lot of other things that are on their plate, and their ability to focus on this task of getting connected to the resources they need locally is not fully there. And so,
how big a caseload would somebody like you as a peer navigator? Is it dozens? Is it a few? Do you have somebody and then you don't need to deal with them?
Right. So it really depends on the veteran who's calling up and or the family member. Someone might call up and just say, "Hey, Julie, what's the phone number for the Veteran Service Officer at Montgomery College?" And there you go, here you go, and thank you, have a good day.
You mean at the University of Shady Grove?
No, at Montgomery College.
No, here, we've got the next door. We have a website.
Okay.
What's your website?
It's www.servingtogetherproject.org.
Okay.
And from there, they can reach a wealth of resources just online, if that's their preference and the medium they would like to use. Just go in and search for resources we've identified, and we make sure that the resources are not quality but quantity. We make sure we meet with the resources here locally prior to putting them on the website, so that we know they are going to assist our veterans and their families.
What would have, if I had a dad or a brother that needed help, I could call your office, and then give me an example of a resource. Let's say it's concerned about his mental health. Give me an example of a resource that you would contact or that's available?
Sure. I mean, we basically would look into local resources available in the county level, nonprofits. If I had someone call up who their father needed a little more case management than what he was getting with the programs that he was involved in, I was able to have him connect with Cornerstone Montgomery and work to get him a case manager through that service. So I'm not the case manager myself, but I'm going to connect him to one that can then navigate the system to, or maybe just open doors of resources he didn't know existed. I get a lot of calls actually from the sons and daughters and wives of the veterans themselves or the service member. And normally some of the services that are earmarked for veterans, or say veteran services, are only going to speak to the service member. Right. And so, at Serving Together, we're able to talk to the daughter who's saying, my dad's sick, he needs some help, I don't know what VA benefits he qualifies for, can you just help me navigate this? And a lot of times it's simply just, here's steps A, B, and C, here's what you need to do. And it's nothing that they couldn't have found themselves, but it's just someone who maybe can take the time to set it out for them, a plan, so they can walk away feeling like they have a direction in getting help that they need. So,
how many service members or veterans are there in Montgomery County?
Oh my goodness. Do you know offhand?
Tens of thousands.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, our bases here. I mean, I'm a child of a.
Yes.
I'm a child of a veteran.
I do know that the majority of them are the Vietnam era veterans. That is our largest percentage of veterans. Oh. And on that note, actually, this weekend at University of Shady Grove.
Saturday night, October 24th.
No, actually, no. Oh, yes, Saturday night. No, sorry,
October 24th. Co-hosted by this fine Montgomery Community Media.
Yeah, so
tell us what it is.
It's a Vietnam Veterans celebration. There's going to be amazing presentations out to honor and salute our Vietnam veterans here in the county who may not have received that when they got back, and we just have
they're expecting 800 people.
They are,
and the first time Montgomery County has risen up to celebrate and to thank these Vietnam veterans.
Exactly.
It's only been 40 years.
Yeah.
Since the Vietnam War ended.
But I think it's going to be amazing.
Serving together, you feel great about what you're doing. You feel useful, helpful. What's the number one question you get?
I would say the number one question I get is financial assistance. People looking for help with financial assistance. A lot of times the transition from the military into the civilian life has left them sort of lapse in employment. So that would be the second would be employment that would follow suit. And usually that's what happens is you find out that they call up for financial assistance and then we say, well, what else is going on? Is there anything else we can connect you with?
Well, you've connected us with so much what's going on in your world serving together. Thank you very much. We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. Before I turn to you, Susan, one thing is I made a mistake. It's not Saturday evening the 24th. It's Saturday in the morning and during the day for the Vietnam Veteran Celebration at the Universities of Shady Grove. So be there. It's going to be a great event. And the only people missing will be you if you're not there. Susan, welcome.
Thank you.
Your first time, just like Julie, this is your first time on the show. We're happy. Speaking of the University of Shady Grove, you're a professor.
Well, I'm not allowed to use that title, but I'm an instructor.
An instructor.
But I have a better title. I'm the chef.
The chef.
Which I like that better.
Well, tell us what you do there, and a little bit about the University of Shady Grove, because it's such an interesting concept, and it's this jewel that we have in Montgomery County.
USG is, I think it's in its 12th year. I'm in my 9th. It is 9 universities. Don't ask me all of them because I'll forget. 9 universities on one campus. It's a regional education center. It's called a 2+2, so students either they transfer in from a community college or from another college. I work for the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, which is in Princess Anne, 130 miles away, which most people have never heard of. And I work for the Hospitality and Tourism. It used to be called Hotel Restaurant Management, so I still stumble over a little bit.
So as I understand it, they're attending universities at Shady Grove. They complete the second half, the two in there,
they get their bachelor's degree
from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, even though they're in beautiful Shady Grove, Maryland.
They walk across the stage in Princess Anne, but they spend all of their time with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you do?
Well, I'm the chef instructor, so I have a great job for an old broad who likes to cook. I teach 2 culinary classes. I teach 2 culinary classes a semester, and I teach 2 management classes.
Okay.
So, but I'm also the faculty advisor for Campus Kitchens, which is really what ties our program together. Campus Kitchens is a program that feeds the needy in Montgomery County. So the culinary classes, they're food production classes.
Right.
The students will take a recipe for 8 or 10 or 4, and then we'll turn it in to 50 or 400 because we do 6 to 8 events on campus, and so the students do everything. They manage, they make all the food, and so they use that knowledge in the classes, then transfer it to Campus Kitchens, and we prepare meals. We prepare about 200 meals a month for families in need in Montgomery County.
Fantastic.
So it really ties, everybody says, oh, you're giving back to the community.
Right.
It really ties the educational goals to some practical experience.
Which is the best way to go. I mean, everybody's incentivized to do the right thing, doing good by doing well, or doing well by doing good.
Would you say the majority of the programs are on campus, or are they online and on campus programs?
There's a lot of we have a requirement that the students have to take 12 hours online. In the hospitality industry, it's a really high touch business, so the students really like that physical environment where they're interacting with each other. They do take several classes. They take law, they take HR, they take it marketing, they take it online, but you know, there's nothing. I love being in a classroom with a bunch of students. I really do. So.
I've had the opportunity to attend a number of events where the students have provided the food and done all the cooking, taken care of it, and it's been terrific. It's
a lot of fun.
Great. It's a great program.
They plan the menus. They're a little daunted when they have to. When I say, "Well, you're going to make 300 of those." You know, last year we were doing a breakfast and they wanted to serve crepes, and I'm like, "That's great. Let's do crepes." And I had 4 French-speaking students in my classroom, and I said, okay, and they were all trying to outdo each other making crepes. I'm like, that's great. I said, now make 300 of them. And they all just...
Sacre bleu.
Yeah, right. So I hate to tell you, but we ended up buying those crepes.
How are the job opportunities these days?
You know, there are more job opportunities. Hospitality is the 2nd largest employer in the state. So, and it's not a culinary program, but we believe that students who are in hospitality just might end up in a kitchen one day. So they have to know what a hotel pan is, and they have to know how to turn on the stove. And so,
they get jobs.
And they get jobs. Yeah, we have a lot of people asking for us. In fact, the Marriott is the largest employer. They, out of our program, they hire the largest percentage into their Voyager program.
Great.
They love our students because they're so diverse. Most of them work in the field. 50% of our students want to be in hotels. So only about 10% really like to be in the kitchen. So that's where I have most of my fun.
We've got about 45 seconds left. Explore some other thoughts about what you're doing and what the...
Well, we do lots of, as I said, we do lots of events, and our favorite event is coming up in April. It's called Dining with the Chefs. It's a solely Montgomery County program. We bring in 20 chefs from Montgomery County. They teach the student a dish. The student makes the dish for 250 people. The chef comes in and supervises, and then they go out and sit in the audience.
So how do we sign up?
I've
not heard of it.
It's at Shady Grove.
What's going on?
April 18th. And yeah, it's April 18th, so you'll have a 5-course meal. It's all Montgomery County businesses. Dogfish Head, Dennis's is involved. IPA from Silver Diner is
Schwarzenberg has
involved.
never sent me an email about this. This is terrible.
I'll come back and bring samples.
Please. It was so wonderful to have you.
Thank you so
much. Look forward to having you come back.
I'm ready.
Both you and Julie. It was perfect.
Okay.
How are you doing, Fred?
I'm doing fine. I'm hungry now.
Aren't we really hungry for this job search
goodness.
to be done, and we have a new superintendent?
Yeah, and to give a perspective, I usually try to be
Balanced?
How do I balance?
Balance,
Thank
yeah,
you. Balance. That's a good word.
Thank you.
And I've been here for 45 years, so I've seen a few superintendents in my tenure as a employee in Montgomery County.
Never forget Homer Ellsroad.
Then as a parent, there's so many, Dr. Pitt, Dr. Vance, et cetera, et cetera. And this process is one that I'm a little troubled by because we had a superintendent after Dr. Jerry Wiest who came in for 4 years, Joshua Starr, and he was here for 4 years, and it became clear apparently, I wasn't in the discussion, but that his contract was not going to be renewed. So he, quote, resigned or ended his tenure of the 4 years. And then a search was conducted. Hazard, Young, and Atia, I never know how to pronounce it, is the agency the organization or the
same
company.
Same one that brought us Joshua Starr.
Correct, and they were hired to do the process of selecting a search, and a candidate was chosen.
Right.
He was from the Houston School District, 212,000 students in the Houston School District, so it's a little bigger than Montgomery County, even one of the largest, obviously. And his name was put forward. He met with the school board members and all that, and then at some point, and I'm not sure of all the reasons, he said he was not interested and withdrew his name.
Right. And there was some leak of information,
yes,
some other things that went
which left the school system hanging. Right. So to speak. So what they did was to but to choose Mr. Bowers, Larry Bowers,
right.
who's a long time to be acting superintendent. And now the process has started again.
Okay.
And what worries me is it's the same company.
Right.
It's the same pool. The pool hasn't changed much in a year. What better results are we going to get, and what are the processes they're going to use to get feedback from?
Let me ask you this question. You know, we have in this panel a former leading member of the Montgomery County Council who used to be interested in education before mental health courts and all those things.
Yes.
What do you think where's the council? Where's the board on all of this?
I don't think the council has no part in this part of the process. They have maybe bullying,
right?
Whatever. No, I don't want to call it bullying, but they can offer their opinions, but it's all in the board's hands.
Right. It's really the biggest decision the board makes. Right.
So, in my opinion, other than present the budget to the county council.
Fred, for those viewers who may not know, was principal of Gaithersburg High School for many years, and a teacher, an assistant principal,
that's correct.
Associate principal for that. You've got a great perspective on this. What are the 2 or 3 qualities that you think the board should be looking for?
Well, I have always believed that I want someone who knows what it's like to run a school and be involved with his or her community. So this is Fred, but I want someone who's been a principal.
So how do you
get that's number one. Oh. Number 2, I want someone who's engaged not just with the school board, but with the community and with the staff. Okay. That's difficult because this is a political job, as we know. Right. You have so many people coming at you.
We've got about 2 minutes and third.
I was going to say, how do you get representation from this diverse school system? I mean, I don't know if that's really truly being represented. How do we have such diversity, we have such need, especially the eastern side of the county. How does a superintendent really work that? How are they going to serve those students when we know that what's driving it is not those?
Well, one of the although I didn't agree with him on everything, one of the things that I have to give Dr. Wiest credit for is that he recognized that and put it on the table.
Good.
And in terms of, and it was very direct about, and Phil knows this, about staffing. Those schools who had higher needs in terms of poverty and all that, they got staffed at a higher level than other schools that didn't have those needs.
And priority,
and he did it.
And priority in day-long kindergarten and
exactly,
money going in. Absolutely.
So those are the kind of things that have to be recognized and continued.
Because that's not going away.
No. And we have consistently talked about since 1970 the achievement gap. And that's one that needs to continually be addressed and looked at and analyzed, not just analyzed, but what do we do about it?
Because those students in my program have come from Montgomery County schools, and they need to be served.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to step on you, but you promised to give us a prediction. At least that was the tease at the beginning. Our producer said you're going to tell us what's going to happen.
I have a prediction that I'm a little worried about the process because it looks like it's going the same way, and I don't have a clear prediction that
I thought you had a name.
No, my goodness, no.
Are we be talking about this a year from now again?
I hope not. I hope we're talking about the new superintendent who is now in office and ready to go.
And hopefully still in a honeymoon phase.
There you go.
Fred, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining me today. And thank you and the viewing audience for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Moores, and I invite you to join us again next week at this very same time.